G'day trendsetters, welcome back to episode 11 of the BNSF Birdwood subdivision. Today we're going to be laying cork roadbed, which I must say I've been converted. I've seen the light, brother! And while I really do like the foam, if you're gluing your track down, I think I've been converted to cork. Anyway, we'll talk about that a bit later once we get up to the top level. So I'm just loading up the old work train here with a few spikes and stuff. So we'll get him going and I'll see you at the top. Now, our work train's going to take about 10 minutes to get here, so I'll just show you what we're doing. We're running from around that curve there and up through here, and we've got a nice little S bend here, which we'll have to put our minimum 1 foot straight between, and then we've got another curve there where we go underneath the top line there, and we've got another little S bend there, and then we go underneath this top track here. So, cork. I'm loving it, trendsetters. Midwest cork. I know it's more expensive than some of the others, but really, I think, unless you've got a huge layout to do, I reckon it is the duck's guts. The fact that it... I'm going to get some light on it here. It's pretty high, this top level. I've got to put the camera up on the layout. Anyway, the fact that it's got all this rubber in it, and it's all munched up, you don't see big bits of cork. Now I know it's going to be covered with ballast anyway, but I'm going to use a dark ballast that almost blends in with this, and if you miss a bit or whatever, I don't think it matters as much. I think it's just really clever how they've made it, and how the sides come beveled and all that sort of thing. So, and I was a bit concerned about laying transition curves, because you know I'm a bit of a transition curve freak, and it actually lays really nicely. It lays probably nicer or easier than tracks. So probably a lot of you out there saying, well, it's only taken him 25 years to wake up. But anyway, when I was a young fella, we couldn't afford cork unless you had lots and lots of money. And it was crap. And most of the stuff down here, unfortunately, still is. So get your act together, Australia. Stop digging crap out of the ground and selling it to China for nothing. And start making some shit. See, now I'm swearing now, I get upset. Anyway. Made in America, it's good stuff. Now I know you can go to the flooring stores and buy sheet loads of it, but you know, I suppose it depends on your time frame, and if you're like me, you've got to do everything, I love this stuff, I really do. So, okay, let's get down to it. We've marked our roadbed where our track's going. Now, of course, if it was going, I've already done some up here. Here's one I prepared earlier, trendsetters. Up here. So all I did with this roadbed was just mark where I wanted it. Now, it's not quite in the middle because it's come off a curve, and the other one's a bit different. But anyway, as long as you do keep your measurements the same, and I just did a centre line and went along the top here and lay one piece obviously, and actually used a straight edge along here. I put marks probably every 300 where I wanted it, and then just drew a line and then pushed the cork up against the straight edge to check it out. But anyway, we're doing this one, so we'll get into it. Now, where are we? Oh, there's the bloody thing here. This is all a bit different up here, trendsetters. Now look, the foam underlay is still really good if you like gluing your track down, and so I'm not saying it's, you know, it's no good, but I just like the stiffness that the cork has, especially under turnouts. Yeah, I've never been real happy with the foam under turnouts. To me, it just doesn't give a strong enough base. Right, we're going to be starting on this straight bit here and going a curve each way. Now, it's a good idea if you can get a join in the straight, like with your track, you know, rather than having a join on the curve. You obviously have to put a join on a curve somewhere, but I've done two lines here. I wasn't happy with where the first one was, so I'm going with the closer one here, so that's by the by. Now, another thing, with your track, so let's say we're going to start a piece there like that. Filming back to front here. Now, when we do put the other piece in, the other side, don't do that, because it can't support itself on the joint. Do this. Somewhere like that, doesn't matter, just as long as you've got some overlap. So this joint here, same as when you're laying track trendsetters, this joint here is against a solid piece, this joint here will be against a solid piece. So we'll do that. This train's still not here, but anyway. Now, gluing, yes, gluing. I use PVA glue. I've asked a lot of people, including the local train shop dude, and PVA seems to be the most popular choice. And one bloke said I saw on YouTube that he mixes his 50-50, and I think that's way too much. If you're happy with doing that, well, that's fine. But I put about 20% in, and I found it too watery. When I put some glue down on the cork here, tipped it over, it all just run off, and so either use it neat, or I've diluted this glue. Well, this has got a little bit of both in it, but I just did a test run, trendsetters, and I reckon about 15%, 10 to 15% water to your PVA glue is enough just to you know, make your glue go a little bit further, and enough so when you tip the cork over, the glue doesn't run off. You may want to put the glue on the board first, and then put the thing on the underlay on top of it. I don't know. Whatever floats your boat, man. Well, it's been nearly 10 minutes, and this train's finally not even up the top yet. It's nearly there. Unbelievable. Oh, that's me. Hello. Done quite a bit, well, a bit this week. We're all the way along underneath the inverter now, along the southern wall. And yeah, done about, I don't know, 6 or 8 metres of track and roadbed this week on and all, so it's pretty good. Now that area there, where the switchboard and the inverter are, that will be a tunnel. So obviously that won't be a problem. Right, the train's finally got here, hooray! Now some people use these, you know, drawing board tacks to hold the roadbed down while it's drying. I sort of tried them, but I like using the old track nails. I think these are an Atlas track nail. They're just a little bit thinner. Now they're a bit, obviously double the time because you just can't push them in with your fingers, you have to nail them in, but I just like it. So, okay, we've got our centre lines here. Now if I was doing this freehand, you could just you know, lay the roadbed down, see what you think, tack it down and then mark it and then glue it. But anyway, I've got my little lines here. So my curves are very tight through here. With my minimum radius, 30-inch minimum radius, I could just fit this S-band with my minimum straights in here. So, make sure your woodwork is got no dust and all that. I've brushed this down. And we're using this line here. So, glue. Now yes, hang on. First thing, transition curves. Okay. Now I was always a bit worried about doing transition curves with cork because, you know, your cork really has to go where the track's going. You've got a little bit of leeway, obviously, on each side here. But I was always a bit concerned about it. But you can do beautiful transition curves with cork, and then basically put the track down where the cork is. Now this is a really easy explanation of what a transition curve is if you're sort of not into it. Here and here is our points where the curve starts and stops. So our straight comes along, stops here, and straight comes along and stops here. So there and there is where our curve would start if we were doing, well, let's say, you know, a strict non-transition curve. So your roadbed would sort of look, we'll hold it there like that, and we'll follow the curve around, and it would look sort of like that. And that's, well, it doesn't look much here, but if you look at it, that's a pretty sharp, it comes in and all of a sudden it's going around. We don't want that. So how do you get a transition curve? Well, it's quite easy, trendsetters. When you see it marked out, it makes it even easier. So there's where our normal curve would be. Just relax it now. And you see this opening here. Now what you do is you go back to where your mark was and go about, let's say, 50 mil. Instead of starting the curve where it should be, technically, you start it just back along the straight, say about 50 mil, 2 inches or whatever, and you can see, let me just zoom in on this bit here. Now you can see where the actual roadbeds come away. There's our straight here. There's our line where our curve technically should start. And you can just see, I haven't touched that, it's done all by itself. And you can see just where it's sprung away from the line there, so you get a nice gradual curve in. So that's about 50 mil. So I reckon that's fantastic. If we go to the other end, you will see that it's the same. Well, there's our other end there, there's our mark there, and there's where our curve's starting roughly there. Groovy, baby! Now I've got some glue on the back. Always do a squiggly line when you're gluing anything with glue. Just don't do a straight line. You get much better bang for the buck when you do a squiggle. Now, I've done this the wrong way. Now I'll just turn him around. When you're working to a line, don't put the cork in front of the line where you can't see like I just did. So there we go. So I've gone along. Let's bring that back a little bit there. Now this glue is still a little bit too watery for my liking, but that's because I've done a mixture of both. So there's our centre line there. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but that's our line there. You can probably just see it, and I've gone back to about here somewhere where I've kept it dead straight. Just getting a little bit of wood here. Let's use a little bit of wood just to push that up against there to get that nice and straight. Nice. And then the same is down here. I've got a nice now this end down here that I haven't we're not into that curve yet, so I've left glue off that because I have to align that. Just got a wet rag, keep a wet rag here so you can wipe any glue up if you want. Just have to align that back onto that line there. And then of course get your old head down and have a look, because that's the best way you'll line something up is with your eyes. It's the best straight edge you'll ever get. Well, pretty much anyway. Right, I'm happy with that. You can see where our transition starts here, where it moves away from the straight line. And where are we? Down here. You can see the line just there, and it's just taking off before the curve really should. And that's probably the easiest way to explain a transition, really. Just to do it like that. I just give it a bit of a touch up with a block there. And then just drive a couple of pins in. Use your drawing pins if you like. I just like using the spikes. Now, of course, the other one is just as simple as putting it next to it. And now, when you put in the second piece down, don't put it down, just push it up like that, because you might push the other one out of the way. So always sort of clamp it. You know, clamp them together like that when you're pushing them together. Because you don't want to undo all your good work from the first one, because you really only got to make the first one right. Your second one just butts up against the other one. Butts! I actually find this quite therapeutic, trendsetters. It was very hard to find Midwest cork down here. Well, I thought it was anyway, and still think it is, but it's definitely the go, I reckon. Unless you're doing, as I say, unless you're doing a huge layout, then it might become, you know, prohibitively expensive. But it's cheaper than the foam, and if you like spiking track like I do, it's a lot better under turnouts, anyway, put it that way. You don't need to worry about squashing sleepers or ties when you're spiking. Right, I've got this down. We've got our straight here, which is 300, well, it's actually about 350, and we're just sneaking a little bit off each end for our transitions. One up this end and the other one down here. Now, our curve's supposed to start here, but I've just pulled this roadbed around a little bit, and it's actually starting probably about here somewhere, so about 40 or 50 mil back, so that's what we want. So now we'll just we'll go this way around the corner. Run a knife down there. Just saves ripping it apart, but it rips apart. No worries really. I suppose it's me being a bit crazy again. Now, this is important. Well, sort of important. It has a wider side and a skinnier side. They're not exactly the same width. Must be to do with the cutting process or whatever. So, not that it really matters, but just to keep it a bit more uniform, when you're joining them up, make sure you get the same size that you're joining onto. I'm filming backwards here, trendsetter, so it's a bit hard. So yeah, we're going to join like that. So make sure this one is the same, because they're slightly different. Look, it's bugger all. It's probably about 1.5 mil. That's a slightly wider one. Doesn't really matter, but you might get a line there if you've got really thin ballast, so just keep that in mind. Okay, we've put some glue on here now because we didn't have glue underneath there before. We've got our line here, so I'm just going to line him up there and just make sure that transition's still coming around there nicely. Very nice, very nice. Okay. Now a curve like this, I might put a couple more just to hold it in place. Get that transition happening nice there. So now that we've done this one, we can butt the other one up against it now and carry on around the curve. Right, we've got the outside one done. Just push, make sure it's up nice and firm against this other one here. Very good. Just clamp them together like that with your fingers. Remember, don't push this way on one side with your new one, because you'll end up pushing the other one out of alignment if it's obviously you're doing it roughly the same time. So just work my way around here. Once you get the hang of it, it's actually quite quick to do. So there you go. With my hammer. It probably would be quicker even using these, but I don't know. I've got plenty of track pins. I suppose the advantage with using the drawing pins, you don't need to hammer them in, you can just push them in, but I'll battle on with the nails. I don't mind using the pins. Well, we're nearly done, trendsetters. Just one thing I reckon, if you're going to water down the glue, it's probably not a good idea to put it on the back of the road bed, because when you turn it over to lay it, the glue runs off. Even if it's watered down a little bit, I put about 15% in. Maybe if you did about 10%, you might get away with it. But when I was using the undiluted, it wasn't a problem. So anyway, we're nearly done. So we've got our straight here, and I'm starting the curve. Well, actually, I've brought this out a little bit further because I've gone a bit wider in the curve here. So we've got a really nice transition, but it's probably starting right on here, but the curve doesn't start to down here somewhere. So it's looking good through the eye. That's the main thing. Also, make sure that your joints, where your cork joints is nice and flat. I found one where I pushed it to get a nice tight fit and it had sprung up. So make sure before you run away that they're nice and flat. Give them a bit of a hit down there. Well, we are done for this section here. And it's our nice transition there. Very easy to do. I'm surprised I didn't get into it earlier. And there's our other transition there. You can see our marks there where the curves start, and they start and stop just a bit inside those lines to give you a little bit extra on the transition. And there's the other one there. Well, trendsetters, I think that'll do. I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed doing it. I really like laying this stuff, and it's almost like laying the railway line first, and then you don't even think about it as much next time. And I think once you get a bit more used to it, you don't even need to put lines down. You can just lay it as track. But anyway, I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, ask and I'll try and answer them. So we'll see you on the next update. Hooroo for now.